Good morning. This is Josh Baumgartner, Senior VP of Strategy at the Greater Tampa Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank the viewers for tuning in to our 2018 candidate election series, interview series. At the Chamber, our mission is to serve our members and enhance our community by building business success. The key partners in helping to build that business success are our elected officials. And that's why we're so excited to be embarking on this process and why we're excited to have Kimberly Overman joining us today. Kimberly is running for County Commission District 7 at large. Kim, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So we're going to get started in a little bit with our specific questions, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to give the viewers a snapshot of your campaign and tell us why you're running.
Well, I am running because I believe that there's an opportunity for government to catch up with small businesses and our business community. I have been living here for 34 years, owned 2 businesses, and have actually been very much part of the business community in my previous role as a chamber president for the Heights Urban Core Chamber, which we renovated and revitalized about 4 or 5 years ago. The good news is in the work that I've done, not only as a citizen on transportation area issues, but also worked with the City of Tampa's Budget and Finance Committee as a Citizens Advisory Committee member, as well as the MPO currently. I think that I'm well suited for being able to address the concerns of the Hillsborough County in general. I also know that we haven't moved the needle on some areas, and sitting in the audience was getting a little frustrating. So I thought that because I actually really appreciate being able to get things done, I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to doing just exactly that.
Great. Well, thanks for that. And with your background in the CAC and the NPO, and obviously in the small business realm, you know that transportation is an important issue for the business community. The Greater Tampa Chamber of Commerce actually earlier this year took a position in support of a catalyst project, which is bus rapid transit, connecting the 3 counties, but obviously running through much of Hillsborough County. Do you support bus rapid transit as the catalyst project?
I support bus rapid transit, but it needs to be a rapid transit. I read through the proposal in the RFP when it was initially put out to the contractors that are working on that study. Have attended many of those meetings to make sure that I'm clear on what we're trying to accomplish. My concern is that whether or not the monies are going towards actually creating rapid transit versus creating a lot of infrastructure that doesn't necessarily add service to the citizens that need to get from point A to point B. So I think refocusing on making sure that the actual buses are rapid, I think, is the most important part of that study. And when we look at the outcome, if that is the outcome, then I'm absolutely for it.
Great. Sticking with transportation for a little bit, as I'm sure you're aware, there's a grassroots movement happening in Hillsborough County to get a 1-cent sales tax on the ballot in November to fund transit and transportation initiatives. Do you support that initiative?
It's interesting. I just caught up with it what everybody else did. And I think the reason that's coming forward is because we haven't moved the needle. And when we look at the transportation improvement plans and the various different plans that the MPO, as well as Hillsborough County, has put forward, we've found that there's not enough investment in the actual infrastructure of helping people get around Hillsborough County. If it takes a 1-cent initiative to get a 45% of that to go towards expanding bus service all over Hillsborough County so that people can get around, then I'm very much for it. I do think it's going to be challenging. It's getting a lot of signatures in a very short period of time, and we do have other initiatives. But if this is a way that we can move the needle and get people around Hillsborough County fairly, I think it's worth the try.
You mentioned other important initiatives, and I want to pivot to education. K-12 here in Hillsborough County has had some recent successes in the last couple of years, but also has some mounting challenges as we look to the future with population increases on the horizon in Hillsborough County. Mm-hmm. How would you, if elected, work with our school board and our superintendent's office to make sure that the business community is prepared and has that next generation of talent in our school systems?
Actually, I've been talking about that for about 20 years. when I worked with the Hillsborough Education Foundation and Community and Schools at the time, I was great, and that was a long time ago. I was greatly concerned about the fact that we were not investing in our children in such a way that private enterprise is now going to have to do all of our training, which we're seeing some of those programs now having to be funded to do just that. There are resources within the county budget that could be allocated towards the infrastructure associated with our schools, so that more of the monies that are dedicated within the school revenues to actually educating our children, which would be very much important. I think it's very difficult to expect our teachers, as hard as they work, to try and do everything that they need to do without the support and the infrastructure that they need. So looking for smart ways to allocate resources to support our education, I think is part of it. Maybe CIT funds. I haven't fully investigated that, but I think there are creative ways to partner with the school board to make sure that they have what they need. Having no ACs in schools is not acceptable, and not in Florida anyway.
Of course, certainly. Switching gears, I want to talk Rays baseball. If elected, you'd be on a county commission that would have a pretty big decision when it comes to the Ybor location for a stadium. So two-part question. A, do you support that site in Ybor for a potential future ballpark? And if so, what financing model would you support in having that ballpark located in Ybor?
You know, it's a tough subject. I haven't been going to Rays games because I can't sit in a baseball field for 4 hours and drink a beer or two and then expect to drive safely back when we have no way of getting there any other way but a car. So the effort to move it here to create better ridership is going to be important. Without having infrastructure to be able to serve that specific location already in the works or part of the deal, I don't see it really working well. We find ourselves in the very same position that St. Petersburg is in now. So I am for the project in the sense of bringing an opportunity where there is some collaboration with transportation access. And I do believe private enterprise has to pay for it.
So we've talked the Rays ballpark, we've talked transportation and education. The funding pie is only so big to fund all these projects and all the needs that this county has. Mm-hmm. How would you prioritize those three things? Or maybe it's something that we haven't talked about. What would be your priority? What are you running on as the number one thing that we need to support in Hillsborough County?
I think the number one issue is, in fact, transportation. By opening up opportunities for people to actually be fully employed in Hillsborough County, if you don't have a car in Hillsborough County, you're not fully employed. It's just not possible for you to actually get to work. And I think if we start there, we help not only communities that want to take care of themselves, that can afford affordable housing. I think that's our critical issue. And it has to be where it actually provides workforce access to not only the citizens of Hillsborough County, but also to the businesses. You know, when you're interviewing an employee that lives on the other side of this county, and they turn down the job that you really want to hire them for because they can't get there, or they're not willing to sit in the congestion it takes to get there because we haven't invested in our infrastructure and we haven't followed our comprehensive planning and sprawled all over the county instead of actually creating the density that would help us justify investing in transit, our policies are backwards. And I think that's the most important part, is that we get with a comprehensive plan that partners with citizens and businesses to create an opportunity for everyone to succeed. Great.
Well, Kimberly, I want to thank you for joining us, and also want to thank you for your willingness to run for office and seek a county commission seat.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Oh, and vote for Kim. Thank you.